If a life dies, but everything about it when it was alive was fully recorded, then put into a computer to exist, then do you think it is truly dead? If it is still running, then what's the actual difference? And being alive? This question sounds like science fiction, but humanity has, for the first time, seriously encountered it. What is even stranger is that this step did not start with humans. Instead, it started with a fruit fly. The viral cyber fruit fly is terrifying not because it crawls on the screen like a living creature, but because scientists did not teach it how to be a fruit fly. What they did was another, far more dangerous thing. They took a real fruit fly's brain connection app and moved it to the computer. Do you understand the difference here? With past AI, we humans wrote the rules and fed it massive amounts of data for it to learn. But this fruit fly does not need to learn. The researchers simply followed its original brain wiring diagram to build the circuits inside the computer. They found that, as long as they powered up this digital brain and gave a tiny stimulus, it knew on its own how to perceive the environment, how to make decisions, and how to control a virtual body to move. Think about what this means. This means that in the history of human technology, first, we face an extremely dangerous question, one shaking human existence. Intelligence, or the instinct of life, might not require any divine spark at all, nor does it require lengthy training. It might just be a structure. If the structure is replicated, life's behavior can be directly reproduced. Today, what was packed into a computer and woke up on the screen was a fruit fly. Then tomorrow, if what is scanned, mapped, and copied into the computer is you? To understand just how revolutionary this matter truly is, we must first figure out why it had to be a fruit fly. Because its brain is only 1/3 the size of a sesame seed. But its behavior is complex. It can learn and remember where food is. It can rely on vision and smell to navigate precisely in three-dimensional space. It courts and fights. And even after being rejected, it will exhibit behaviors resembling depression. Moreover, its brain is far simpler than a human brain. As a result, scientists spent over a decade studying the fruit fly brain, finally announcing in Nature in 2024, the connectome of the adult fruit fly brain has been thoroughly mapped. This blueprint contains approximately 139,000 neurons, and up to over 50 million chemical synaptic connections between them. Based on this whole brain connectome map, scientists built a massive whole brain model. What is even crazier is that in February 2026, someone took the fruit fly brain structure and plugged it into a virtual fruit fly body. They wanted to see if using the structural map of a biological brain could achieve full body motor control over a mechanical or mathematical body. As a result, you scroll past the virally popular news story. Under the control of this precise neural structure, this originally cold digital body actually came to life. It began to move based on biomechanics. It needs no algorithms to teach it movement, nor does it need endless trials. Because inside its control center, what flows are the most primitive laws of life. This is no toy or simple spectacle. This is the first time in human history that the hardware architecture of carbon-based life has been successfully plugged into a slot of the silicon-based virtual world. Know-it-alls might say, "Kurt, large AI models are so powerful. What's not known? Sora can even simulate the physical world. So why fear a mere fruit fly's behavior?" If you think this way, then you completely misunderstand this matter. The sense of dread brought by this fruit fly AI is that it and past large models are taking two completely opposite paths. Traditional large models, like GPT, are massive and unexplainable black boxes. They get smart via brute force miracles, putting billions of human internet data and tens of billions of words inside. It burns power for months on many GPUs, constantly tweaking parameters within its massive neural network. This is like teaching an alien to speak a human language. You keep teaching and you keep correcting, until finally it learns to mimic human speech. But its internal thinking logic has nothing to do with the human brain. In essence, it is merely playing a word probability solitaire. This intelligence is learned via training. However, the fruit fly AI is completely different. It did not read massive amounts of fly behavior data, nor did it go through endless errors. Scientists simply copied the biological blueprint exactly as it was. This leads to a truly terrifying inference. If the connection structure of real nerves itself already can perform behavior, if I build the structure of life exactly the same way, and it develops functions naturally, then intelligence, and even life itself, is not some illusory soul at all. It is merely an extremely precise set of physical wiring. Think about this logic carefully. In the past we thought, even if you piece together a human body using parts, it would still be just a soulless shell. We always felt that matter is matter, while the soul is the soul, and consciousness is either an emergence from a massive number of neurons, or some kind of accidental magic. But this fruit fly is ruthlessly telling us, there is no magic. Consciousness, intelligence, reactions, and instinct are likely the product of those 139,000 neurons, and 50 million synapses firing within that specific structure. Structure is destiny. If the structure is right, all vitality will, like flipping a switch, emerge naturally. It needs no training. It is born this way because its structure is designed that way. When the mystery of life is reduced to a computable and connectable circuit diagram, its sacred aura is stripped away. We are forced to face an extremely cold fact. Life may simply be an extremely complex piece of mechanical engineering. If you follow this logic to its conclusion, the thing that truly takes your breath away arrives. The fruit fly is just the beginning. Science's ambition won't stop here. What if, later, this extracting brain structure and generating digital life continues to make breakthroughs? In 5 years, could it be a mouse with 70 million neurons? In 10 or 20 years, could it be a macaque with billions of neurons? Until one day, technology becomes advanced enough to extract the roughly 86 billion neurons of the human brain and its tens of trillions of synapses. At that point, in essence, our brains and that fruit fly's brain will differ only by magnitude, not by the laws of physics. Now, let's imagine a scenario. One day in the future, there is a machine that can perfectly scan those 86 billion neurons in your brain, recording the connection of every single synapse in your brain and the state of each neurotransmitter. In other words, it records all your memories, personality, joys, and sorrows. Then, inside a supercomputer, it perfectly replicates this incomparably massive blueprint. Turn on the power. Now think about 3 questions. First, having replicated your brain structure, can this computer exhibit behavior that completely matches your personality? Will it speak just like you? Think just like you? And love a fruit just like you? Second, if it can perfectly recreate your behavior, can it approximate your cognition? When it looks at the sunset in the virtual world, will it feel like you? The third question, which is also the most central one. When the you in that digital world wakes up, is it just sophisticated programs? Or is it another real you, who possesses subjective experiences? If you think it is just a program, why shouldn't you, made of protein, be just a bunch of organic programs? If even your cognition, your personality, and your soul can be reduced to a network diagram and can be copied onto a USB flash drive. How much remains of human uniqueness and free will is actually left? This tsunami is from the fly map, has stirred up at a deeper level. It has torn open a rift. It allows people to see that the moat separating life from machine is drying up. You might be thinking, are mind uploading and digital immortality coming? Not so fast. This is not mind uploading. This doesn't mean a fly is alive in a computer, and it is still very far from replicating a human brain. Its more accurate scientific definition is researchers, through an unprecedented whole brain model, proved that a biological structure can directly serve as an effective body control architecture. The video shows 2026 research focusing on whole body motor control, rather than saying this fruit fly has generated subjective experience inside the computer. We haven't even figured out the origin of human consciousness, let alone proving whether a piece of code is conscious. Moreover, there's an immense gap in orders of magnitude. A fruit fly has 139,000 neurons, while the human brain has 86 billion neurons. It's like folding paper planes versus planes, and building a Long March moon landing rocket. And this is just the number of connections. If we factor in dynamic changes, biochemical environments, endocrine system disruptions, and so on, trying to digitalize all of this with current computing and scanning tools would be an impossible miracle to achieve. So, right here and now, there isn't actually a living fly's soul residing in the computer. Human brain replication and mind uploading will not happen soon either. However, there is a saying in science: if physics allows it, it's doable. Then it is just an engineering problem. The great thing about this fly AI isn't that it reached the end, but in it announcing to all mankind, this path to the finish line not only exists, but the first big step is successfully taken. It proves that the structure of a biological brain itself could be a runnable blueprint. Even if this is just the first piece of the puzzle in the vast map of life, it is enough to prove that the codebook to unlocking life indeed exists within those complex neural wirings. For eras, humans looked at stars, feeling they are the soul of matter, feeling that between us and machines, there is an insurmountable chasm called life. Machines are cold, while life is warm. Machines are calculated, while life is endowed by the soul. But with this fruit fly brain connectome, and as that digital fruit fly takes its first steps driven by an actual neural structure, this moat might never have existed at all. If we eventually discover that so-called life, instinct, memory, and even emotion are merely a sophisticated, carbon-based algorithm of structures, signals, and executable rules. If we must ultimately admit that humans are nothing more than an exquisitely crafted wetware computer, composed of 86 billion neurons, then who on earth are we? Today, what has been packed into the cyber world is just an insignificant fruit fly. But what is truly shaken and cast into the abyss of nihilism might be humanity's ultimate definition of what we actually are. I am Lama. See you next time.